Time for Princess Piddles to get a new set of shoes. In this episode of Aston1936.com, I've worn out another set of tires on Princess Piddles, and I'm going to fit a new set of Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's. And I've already done a series on getting new tires, but there's a couple of new twists that I'm going to add to it that you might be interested in watching. First off, I'm fitting Sport Pack dimension tires. So these tires are 245s front, 285s rear, and the original DB9 tires for the non-Sport Pack cars were 235s front and 275s rear. So these are about 10 mil wider front and rear, and they fit on the same rims, no big deal. So that's something that'll be new for me, is to fit the Sport Pack size tires. But while I have the tires coming off the rims, I am going to use it as an opportunity to tease you with, I'm replacing my TPMS sensors. So many of the original DB9s now, the forums are full of owners complaining that, oh, my tire sensors are gone, what do I do? Well, I'm doing a whole series on TPMS sensors coming up in 2024, but since I'm doing my tires now, I'm going to give you a sneak peek on how easy it is to take the original SmartTire sensors and clone them over to a set of Autel sensors. So I'm going to do that in this video. It's not going to be an exhaustive description of how to do it, but I'm going to show you how quick and easy that it really is. And one other twist that I'm going to do in this tire change is that I've noticed that when I'm going about 120 miles an hour, on a track of course, that I have an actually really significant vibration coming from the front end of the car. What I think I've determined is I have a bent rim. Now, I bought these Sport Pack rims used from some other Aston owner, and I think what I've got is a little bit of runout on the rim where it's been curbed at some point and taken the wheel out of true. So I'm going to take all four wheels over to a wheel shop, and they're going to test to see if they're true, and if they aren't, they're going to true them up. So maybe there'll be some interesting footage there. I haven't done it yet because it's a one shot, so you'll find out in the next few minutes in this video. So let's get started. So a real quick introduction on how to do the TPMS sensor replacements. Now, my TPMS sensors in my DB9 right now are working just fine, which is a great starting point. But I also know that they're about 5 years old, and those batteries are going to give up the ghost sometime soon. So probably before I get to the end of the next set of tires. So I want to preemptively change my TPMS sensors out now while the tires are off the rims. Well, if you were to use the original SmartTire sensors that you buy from the Aston dealer, and this is the only place to get those anymore, these are hellaciously expensive. I think you end up over $1,000 for a set, plus you got to go to the dealer to get them programmed. That's a lot of money, and I'm not going to go that route. But there is a much better route we can follow now. There is a company called Autel, and they make a sensor called the MX sensor, and this thing is a universal TPMS sensor. And these are about $32 each off Amazon. And I'll have a link down in the description field below. But basically, these are generic sensors, but they will fit the rim just the same as the original SmartTire ones. And they come complete with all the seals and gaskets and the valve caps and everything you're going to need. And you can tell these to clone themselves to be the same ID as the old sensor. So the electronics in the car aren't going to know that this part's been changed out, and now we're going to have a nice, inexpensive new sensor in place that's going to last for at least another 5 years. So this is the way I'm going to go. Now, to program one of these things, you have to buy or have access to an Autel TPMS sensor programming tool. So this is a TS501. It's a couple $100. Maybe you and a few of your Aston buddies from the local group can chip in and buy one together, and you can just share it around to program your own sensors. So I'm going to show you really quickly how fast I can make a brand new set of 4 match my existing SmartTire sensors, and then I'm just going to take these to the tire shop with me and ask them to install them when they swap the rubber over. So, so let's get started in the process. And one quick note, if your existing SmartTire sensors in the cars have died, well, you're still going to be able to program a new Autel sensor, but you're not going to be able to do it quite as easily as I'm going to show you now. In a future video, I'm going to show you how you can use the serial number that's available on the old sensor. So you have to remove this old sensor from the car first, read this serial number, and then you'll be able to use the tool and program that serial number into the new sensor, and it will just immediately come to life and be the same. So that'll be in a future video where I'll show you how to do that in detail. But for now, let's get on with how to actually clone this set of 4 new ones to my existing set that works. So let's fire up the Autel, and we're going to go ahead and pick TPMS. And Aston Martin is actually on the list. And we can pick DB9, DBS, so I'm going to pick DB9. And my model year is a 2005 with the old SmartTire sensors, and they're 433 megahertz. And if you notice on this box, these sensors will go to 433 megahertz. And since I've been practicing, so basically now there's a picture of the car, and it wants us to go over to the left front tire, and it's going to read the serial number out of the existing live sensor. So let's head over and do that. So this is actually going to tell the existing sensor to wake up and give it its serial number. So I'm going to say trigger, and it's told the sensor to turn on. It got the sensor ID number, it knows the tire pressure and everything. Now it says let's go and do the right front. And to the right rear. And finally the left rear. So now that it's retrieved the data for all 4 sensors, we could go over basically and tell it to program an MX sensor. And here's the list of the sensors. So we do them one at a time. Doesn't matter which one of the new ones you pick. But a tip I'm going to add here is we need to keep track of which ones we programmed for which wheels. So I'm going to stick a left front, right front, basically a piece of blue tape on each one so that I can give these to the tire shop and they know where each sensor is supposed to be fitted. So I'm ready to start programming the sensors. It's really pretty easy. I'm going to hit yes to select the left front sensor, and I'm going to copy by activation. So that's the first choice. So that means it's going to use the serial ID that it's already sensed from the existing tire, and it's going to blast it into the new sensor. So I'm going to hit yes. And now it's warning me to only have one sensor within range, because it won't know which of these 4 to program. And there it is, 4 sensors detected. Make sure there's only one nearby. So I'm going to take these other 3 and go put them over on the shelf somewhere. All right, with those sequestered now, and I only have one sensor in range, I'll start again, copy by activation. It's determined there's only the one sensor nearby, and now it's just literally transmitting. It's woken this brand new sensor up, and it's programming the knowledge of what frequency to be on and what serial number to emulate. All right, that's all there is to it. So now I've gone and got the right front. Select that one, hit yes, copy by activation. And away we go with this one. And that one's good to go. And now the right rear. And that one's good to go. And one last one. And the last one's done. That wasn't hard at all. Probably took about 4 minutes. It dawned on me that it would be a giant pain in the butt if I got to the tire shop, got all the new sensors installed, and got back and realized the programming didn't work. So I realized I could actually test them here on the car prior to taking them to the tire shop. So Here I am in the trunk of my DB9, and here's my SmartTire receiver. Now in other models of the car, this might be up under the passenger side footwell, but on early model DB9s, you'll find it here in the trunk. So we're actually going to be able to test that each of these sensors that are newly programmed can check in with this. Now, one of the challenges for doing this is that you have to start with everything asleep. So I let the car sit overnight. So this is asleep, and then these sensors, I just let them sit in the trunk overnight. So sensors, when they're not sensing they're being spinning, these will go to sleep to save battery. So they're all off right now, which is fantastic. Now there's three, and then we're gonna get the car started in here in a second, and then each sensor is gonna check in. That's my test for knowing that it's actually programmed right. But you have to wake the sensor up. So normally the sensor, you can wake it up in 3 ways that I'm aware of. A big pressure change, but since we're not in a tire where I can actually deflate the tire to get a pressure change, these are all going to read 0 psi because they're ambient. You can sit and spin it, try and replicate a spinning motion to wake it up. That might work. Or I'm actually going to just try and use my same programming tool and tell it to wake up. So the other thing is you can't have all 4 of them awake. Well, you don't want them all there at the same time as you wake them up. So you'll see me steal 3 of them away and wake them up one at a time. And then we're going to watch the LED status on here as we get going. So let's get the car started. So on the controller right now, you can see this overall system status is complaining that it's not fully initialized yet because it hasn't heard from all 4 of the sensors. So each one of these color dots represents one of the corners of the wheels. They match up with the color rings around the tire pressure sensors. And once all 4 of these check in, this should go solid green. So it's time for me to start initializing each of these sensors. So I'm going to get rid of 3 of them to a safe distance. So to start up, I'm going to wake up the left front one, and that should correspond to the red ring. Oh, well. So you can, I guess I've got it labeled wrong, but so you can see the blinking red one now. This is communicating, and that is telling it that it has 0 tire pressure, a flat tire. So we got 1 awake, and I'll just leave it here. Now I'm going to go get the next one. So we're going to wake up the right front. Yep, and we can see we've got another one awake here now. Let's wake up the third one. Yep, that's communicating. And we'll wake up the last one. And now we have a set of 4, and you can see the system status has gone to green as well because it's talking to all 4 sensors. So that's a pretty simple way to know that all 4 of them are programmed exactly right. And you notice we didn't have to reprogram anything to do with the actual main control unit. We didn't need any special programming procedure or anything. These are effectively clones of the original 4 SmartTire sensors. So before I take it over to the wheel shop, I wanted to actually take a look and see if I could read how much runout how much wobble was in the rim if it was bent. So obviously you don't need to do this yourself, but all I have is, a simple dial indicator that's going to run true on the face of the rim. And I have it attached magnetically to an old brake rotor disc that was here, and I'm going to zero it out, and I have a piece of tape here right at the air valve, and I'm just going to slowly rotate the rim around, and you can see very quickly, just in that 6 inches of rotation, I have a ton, maybe 20 thousandths of variance in the rim. Maybe that's almost 25, and then it's back to almost nothing. And then, well, the zero drifted a couple of thousandths, but you can see there I have probably 25 thousandths of runout. It's a little wobbly. So I bought these rims used, and I don't know if they were, if that's normal or not normal, but I'm gonna run around now. I'm gonna do the same process for all 4 of the outside faces, and then I'll set up and show you how to do the inside face. So setting up for the inside face is about the same. There isn't quite as beautiful a smooth flat surface to run on. Same deal. And in the background there you can see Ray, our graphics designer, acting with the neutral release so that I can actually turn the right rear tire. So let's see how much runout I've got on this one. You could do the emergency neutral release behind the driver's seat, and see my video that'll be linked up here to get that done before you start doing this part. So this looks not too bad. We're back around. It looks like we were probably less than 10 thousandths run out on this interface of the right rear. Well, the tolerance seems to range between about 5 thousandths and about 30 thousandths of runout. I have no idea what's actually in tolerance, so let's head over to the wheel shop now and let them have a look professionally. As I was getting ready to load these things into the van to take them over to the tire shop, I realized this was a great way to show you the difference between the standard width tires and the Sport Pack tire. So when you stack all 4 of them together as a set, you can see there is about a 1.5 inches or just shy of 1.5 inches. Here's a piece of 2x stock, that just about fits under. So there's probably about 40 millimeters of additional tire contact patch here. That's the whole point in going to the Sport Pack sizes. Well, I've got my new tires, I've got my new sensors. Next stop, the tire shop. And through the magic of editing, the old tires are off and the new tires are on. So I'm back from the tire shop. They checked all 4 rims to see if there was any bends in them. And as I suspected, they actually found this one rim was bent. And it wasn't bent from runout, which was what I was testing in with my dial indicator. It was bent this way. There was actually, so they've actually taken a hydraulic ram and they've re-straightened the rim so it's a perfect circle again rather than one with a little dip in it. So I bought these used off somebody on eBay, so it's buyer beware. But they tell me now this wheel's completely straight and should be completely smooth at high speed, so I'm really happy about that. So part of the process was they put the new Autel MX TPMS sensors in, and here's the old ones. And I have one of the Autels here. The new one weighs probably half as much as the old one. So if you're gonna put one of these in and just gonna break the bead and try and sneak one of these in, you're gonna have to at least rebalance your tire. So I'll have more about that in my more advanced series on the TPMS sensors that'll be coming up later this year. So here's my 4 old sensors and they're out of it. They also pointed out a little surprise that was waiting for me in my right rear tire. That's a screw that's sitting there, and you can probably see it over here on the inside as well. And you can see here we're right at the flush with the wear marks for the tire. So this tire was definitely at its expiration date, so I'm glad I fitted the new tires. So the last thing I wanted to do, just that you might be interested in, is I want to see if the TPMS controller brain sees all these sensors. So I'm going to go ahead, fire the car up, and we'll go ahead and use the same technique, and I'll activate each of these while it's still here on the lift, and we'll see if the controller is happy now.
was out.
So that's it. My baby's got a new pair of shoes on. I can't wait to get out and drive it. It's just the beginning of spring here in California. So a couple of things you need to remember to do. Set your tire pressures, 36 at the front, 38 at the back, and remember to torque up the wheels to their proper torque spec. That varies by wheel nut type. So down here you're going to find a link to my companion blog article that actually will probably tell you exactly what torque specs to use for each wheel nut. Up here you're going to find the next video in my series. Maybe it'll be something interesting about the tires. If you like to get videos like this, please go ahead and subscribe and you'll get automatically notified when the next one comes out. And as always, I love to hear your comments. What do you think about what I've done here? Please leave those down below. Thanks for watching.